War after war after war. In the middle of the last century, Egypt and Israel spent decades fighting over territory and security. In 1978, Jimmy Carter, an evangelical Christian and second-year president, put his prestige on the line.
A framework for peace in the Middle East.
Carter wrote long and personal letters to the Israeli and Egyptian heads of state, begging the enemies to come to America and talk.
The challenge is tremendous.
They agreed, setting the stage for a negotiation at the president's wilderness residence, Camp David.
At Camp David on a Maryland mountaintop, almost never in our history has a president devoted so much time on a single problem.
Carter studied psychological profiles of the men prepared by the CIA and State Department.
Prime Minister Begin of Israel.
Menachem Begin, a conservative who led a militant group at the nation's outset, had a loose grip on power.
President Sadat of Egypt.
Anwar Sadat, described by the CIA as a former revolutionary and ardent nationalist, known for his realism, political acumen, and capacity for surprising, courageous, and dramatic decisions. With two fierce adversaries, my father, National Security Advisor Zbigniew Brzezinski, advised the president, "You will have to control the proceedings from the outset." Carter did just that.
At the request of President Carter, Begin is making no political statements.
Negotiating with each other and not through the press.
I said no interviews today, after Camp David.
Carter's clampdown made what was happening inside a mystery to most reporters.
Next to nothing of what they have said has got outside Camp David's barbed wire fences.
The Israeli delegation is totally zipped up. Even less is coming out of it than is coming out of the Egyptian delegation.
Well, all the indications are that something's up, but we don't know just what.
Even Carter had no idea how long the talks would last, nor did Begin or Sadat agree on what was to come of them. Sadat wanted Israeli troops out of the Sinai Peninsula and rights for Palestinians. Begin wanted simply to agree on principles for future negotiations.
Begin and Sadat were so completely and personally incompatible, they couldn't even be in the same room without exploding in anger. So I kept them apart. They never saw each other for 10 days.
As Carter and his team socialized with the leaders, each side got a better appreciation of what the other wanted. They played, talked, ate together, and prayed.
President Sadat of Egypt attended a Friday Muslim service at Camp David. The Jewish Sabbath began at sundown, which means Prime Minister Begin won't be working on temporal affairs, and President Carter will attend Baptist services at Camp David on Sunday morning.
Dozens of American, Israeli, and Egyptian staffers and family members roamed Camp David's grounds. I was there with the president's daughter, Amy. But diplomacy is no picnic, even though it looked like it at times.
Now, as the summit begins its second week,
The advances made thus far might just simply evaporate.
The talks stalled over the dismantling of Israeli settlements. They needed a break. Carter brought them to Gettysburg to see a place where two sides would kill each other by the thousands and then ultimately reconcile to live in peace.
The three leaders were relaxed and jovial, seeming to confirm reports from inside Camp David that the informal atmosphere there had brought them all closer together.
On the brink of failure, Carter approached Begin with a photograph, which he inscribed with love to each of the Israeli prime minister's grandchildren. Begin was so moved by the gesture that he said they would try one more time.
The scene in the White House last night was almost unbelievable.
The resulting deal removed Israeli troops from Sinai, ended hostilities, and opened the Suez Canal to the Israelis.
The risks were high, but so was your determination.
Let us promise each other that we shall do it earlier than between 3 months.
The peace treaty between the countries would not be signed for another 6 months.
Documents ending a 30-year state of war between Israel and Egypt.
The photo op was the finale, not the beginning. A time when American leadership and hard-fought diplomacy led to an historic breakthrough on the world stage.
Without any exaggeration, what he did constitutes one of the greatest achievements of our time.
In the face of adversity and hostility, you have demonstrated the human value that can change history.